Hello everyone, and welcome to In the Kitchen with the Halifax Public Libraries. My name is Andy Hay, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. We've got a very, very cool recipe. This is one that I make at home all the time. It is a crowd pleaser. It's not that complicated, and I think you're gonna love it. So Andy, what are we making today? Folks, we are making black bean burgers with sweet potato fries. This is so good, dead easy, and I'm so excited to show you how we do it step by step. So with cooking, as in life, preparation is key. First things first, let's get our stations all ready, nice and clean and organized. This will make life a lot easier as we start cooking along. So first things first, a little tip that I think no one talks about enough is just kitchen safety, kitchen cleanliness. You're gonna want a clean cutting board. A key part here is you don't want a cutting board that's sliding all over the place. So a really easy way to make sure it sticks into place is grab some paper towel or a face cloth, whatever you have, wet it, and then just lay the cutting board on top of it, and it'll stick nice and tight. So that's step one. Next up, you're gonna want a knife. Knife skills are really important. Obviously, some people are nervous with knives, nothing to be scared about. Respect the knife, but don't fear the knife. So the first thing that I always talk about with knives is how to hold a knife properly. A lot of times I see people holding a knife back here. It gives you less control. The key thing with a knife is take your thumb and your index finger and lay it actually on the blade of the knife, and then close your hand around it. That gives you so much more control. That will change your life. Keep that tip. The sharper the knife, the safer the knife. Its dull knives are actually more difficult to cook with, so make sure that you have a nice sharp knife. If you want to just a way at home to sharpen a knife quickly, grab an old mug and then just flip it upside down, and you can just kind of run the blade of the knife along the cup, and it'll sharpen the knife a little bit. Okay, Andy, enough of those tips. Let's get cooking. So this black bean burger, very healthy, very easy, and what we're gonna need here right off the bat is 2 cans of black beans. So we're gonna open up those cans, just with a standard can opener, and you're gonna want a nice big bowl for this as well. So I know sometimes when you hear black beans, like, oh, Andy, that's going to be boring, not much flavor. Trust me, I'm going to talk through how we add flavor, how we build flavor, and we can use this for this recipe, but I'm hoping that you can use this for any recipe that you have at home. That's a key part here. Don't feel like you need to follow this recipe step by step. I want to give you tips that you can start building flavor at home regardless of what's in the fridge. So I'm just going to drain out that liquid into the sink over here. Get these black beans. You could do this with white beans as well, navy beans. Get creative here. No issue with that at all. So what we're going to do is just grab a large bowl, and I'm just going to pour those beans directly in. If they're a little bit damp still from the liquid, no problem. You could give these a rinse if you like, but I like the flavor that some of that liquid brings. So we're just going to pop that in. This recipe, we'll see exactly how much it makes. But this will make a lot of burgers. These freeze really well. This is a great way to feed a lot of family members very easily. So with this, what we're gonna do is just take a regular fork. Dead easy, nothing complicated, no fancy tools here. Take a fork, and we're just gonna mash away at these beans. So you don't want this, like you could put this in a food processor, but I find that makes a bean paste and it lacks texture. So I find when I mash this up with a fork, it almost gives a similar texture to ground beef, which again, I think these burgers are better than beef burgers, but I do like the texture that meat brings at times. So this will take a couple minutes. There's no fast way around this. Flex those muscles and just bash away at these beans. This may take me a couple minutes here, so we'll just keep going. If you have a potato masher, this could work as well. Here. Okay, that's kind of what we're working with there, all mashed up. So next up, what we're going to do is add in some breadcrumbs. So these are store-bought breadcrumbs. If you're gluten-free, very easy to use panko or just gluten-free bread. If you don't have that, what you can do is if you have stale bread, chop it all up. That will work just as fine as well. So that's 1 cup of breadcrumbs that we're going to pour in there with those 2 cans of black beans. So we'll give that a little mix. So that breadcrumb will soak up all of the excess liquid. It's a great way to kind of make sure that everything comes together. It's, in the cooking world, we call that a binding agent. So that's just going to bring everything together a little bit more. So that's looking good, flying all over the place there. So that's got a good mix on it. So next up, what we're going to do is add in an egg. An egg is another binding agent, so when the heat comes in, it's going to allow the beans all to stick together. Otherwise, it would all crumble apart. So those two pieces are pretty important. If you are vegan and don't eat eggs, what you can use here is 1 tablespoon of flaxseed and 2 tablespoons of water, and it will act in the exact same way that eggs do. So these are the basis. These are the main things that you're going to want to add in that will form this burger. From there, you can use what you have in your fridge. Get creative. Think of the flavors you like. Don't let me dictate exactly how you eat. Get creative. That's the best part of cooking. What I like to do with this, I feed this to my family all the time, and I'm always trying to find ways to sneak more vegetables into their diets. So what I'm going to do here is take some carrots. If you have carrots, sweet potatoes, anything like that at home, feel free to use those. And I'm just going to grab a cheese grater, standard cheese grater, nothing fancy here, and just give these carrots a grate. The cheese grater is an unbelievable tool. You'll see me use this multiple times throughout this recipe series. I love a cheese grater. So I'm just going to quickly give these a shred, a very easy way to add in vegetables into a lot of different meals, whether this is baking, savory. It's a really, really easy way to hide those vegetables. If you're not a big vegetable fan, this is a very good way to get them in, because obviously they're important to the diet. But an easy way to hide your veg is not a terrible strategy to have either. So we're going to want about a half cup of shredded vegetable of your choice. I'm using carrot here. Again, sweet potato would be lovely as well. So I'll just pop that back over there. So those are looking good. And we'll get those directly into the burger as well. So now comes my favorite part, is the flavoring and seasoning. So we'll talk through a couple strategies here around flavoring, what's important, how do you build flavor, because this is applicable for this recipe and any recipe that you will ever make at home. So there's a couple key pillars that I always talk about. Any chef that you talk to will talk about the importance of using salt. Salt is so vital for increasing flavor. You never want to overdo it, because obviously health-wise, salt, if you overdo salt, it can become an issue. But using good kosher salt or good sea salt will transform how your food tastes. Whether it's baking, whether it's savory cooking, it's absolutely vital. I use kosher salt. I always have a bowl available when I'm cooking to take a couple pinches and just add that in. So about 2 to 3 pinches, and you can season as we go. So salt is vital. Always have good salt available. Kosher salt is the best one that you can have. It's available at any grocery store. It's very cheap and it's super delicious. Next up, what I always like to cook with is salt is vital. The next one is cooking with acid. Acid comes in multiple forms with food. My favorite one is citrus. So the cool thing with citrus, you could use lemon, lime, grapefruit, oranges, whatever you have available, acts in the exact same way. So you know when you have like an orange or anything that has that citrusy flavor, you get that flavor and that tingle on the side of your tongue. That's what we're adding into this. It's like playing with the taste buds on your tongue. It's so fun with cooking. So with this lime, there's 2 ways that we can add flavor to anything that we're cooking with. So firstly is that beautiful skin. Don't forget about that, because that adds in so much flavor, that peel, without adding in excess liquid. So if I added in too much lime juice here, the whole mixture would get too wet. I want the flavor of lime, I just don't want the moisture that the juice brings. So I'm going to just use the zest on the outside and just grate that, again, the finer side of the box grater, directly into the mixture. Give that a little hit and it'll fall in. You can just smell how fresh that is. I love cooking with freshness, whether that's through citrus, with fresh herbs. It makes cooking so delicious, so craveable, and just adds a whole other element to the dishes that you're making. So don't overdo it. So that's what it's going to look like. Save the juice. We'll use that in a little bit with a different part of this recipe. So that's looking good there. You could leave it like that, but let's find some other ways to add in additional flavor. So I talked a little bit about fresh herbs. One of my favorites to use that's everywhere is green onions. Very easy to use. I use these constantly. They're super delicious and very easy to use. So all I'm going to do here is just cut off those ends that are a little bit browned up. And then what I'm going to do is just slice as thin as I can down the green onion itself. Don't worry too much about if it's too thin or too thick. It doesn't really affect the overall burger that much. Don't stress. Cooking is fun. Don't panic. If you make a mistake, it's all good. You'll get a chance to do it again in a couple hours. That's the best part of food. Never stress about it. It's all fun. Okay, so we'll add in about a quarter cup of green onions. Any herbs that you have. You have mint, basil, cilantro, parsley, whatever you have, use. This is key to this whole thing. Another thing that I use a lot in my cooking is garlic. Very inexpensive, super delicious. This is a secret weapon in the kitchen. Always use fresh garlic when you can. We don't have to go super overboard, but use as much. If you love garlic, use more garlic. If you're not a big garlic fan, you can omit it, but it's a great flavor builder. A lot of dishes that I do, garlic, ginger, onion act as the base of the whole flavor profile that we're building. So I'm just gonna quickly mince up 2 cloves of garlic, and I'll make sure that you guys have full access to a written out recipe with this as well. Just so that if I'm moving a little quick, you can follow along without stressing out. Okay, just gonna mince these up pretty quickly. Don't worry about it being perfect. You can just kind of chop away here and then mince it up. Again, if you wanted to, you could use the cheese grater here as well to mince this up even faster. But the great thing with this dish that I really like is it's a great meal planning. That's the hard part about eating delicious, healthy food, is sometimes it can take a lot of time. So what I'll do is when I'm making this dish, I'll just try to make a lot of it. So that way it freezes very well, that I can eat this for breakfast, I can eat it for lunch, eat it for dinner, have them in the freezer, pop it out, and just eat it without having to worry too much about it taking too much time. Okay, so this is looking good. It's smelling amazing. What I'm going to add in as well is just a touch of yogurt. This is just another little binder. If you have yogurt, sour cream is fine as well. Just add in a little bit of flavor. So the other piece that yogurt brings that's super important to cooking is fat. Fat is flavor, fat is texture. It's vitally important. It actually helps balance out a lot of what's going on in any dish. So you have salt, you have acid, you have fat. Those flavors and textures all play together to make something taste super delicious. So we're in good shape here. So we've got the black beans, the carrots, the egg, a little bit of yogurt, some fresh green onion. We can add in different spices if you like something spicy, or if you want to add in curry powder or cumin, any spices you have in your cupboard, this is the time to play and just explore food. That's the best part of food for me, is I love exploring, playing with textures and flavors, seeing what I like, seeing what I don't like, and learning from it. You're going to be cooking every single day, so why not make it enjoyable? Okay, that's a really good spot right now. You can always add in more vegetables if you wanted to. If you want to add in tomatoes into the actual patty mixture itself, you can do that. So that's what we're looking at. So what we're going to do now is pop this into the fridge for 5 to 10 minutes, just allow everything to cool down, come together a little bit more, and then we'll get kicking on with those sweet potatoes. Sweet potato fries. I love these. They're delicious. They're easy. They're super nutritious. The sweet potato is a lovely, lovely vegetable. I absolutely love it. I would say don't waste your time peeling it. The peel has a lot of nutrients in it, and sometimes it can just slow you down. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to cut these into wedges. You can cut them into fries, whatever shape you want. I'm just going to cut directly down the middle on both sides. And then what we'll do is cut that side in half. And then we'll just kind of cut those into wedges. I want them to be thick, not too thick, or they might just take too long to cook. But that's kind of the way I like to eat them right there. So nice big ones. We're going to make these nice and soft on the inside, crispy on the outside. They are wonderful. These are a great treat. They're totally guilt-free, lovely, tasty. I love French fries. You can cut these directly into French fry shapes as well, no problem at all. Sometimes when you're making like a French fry from scratch, they take a long time. So one hack that I really like to do, you could pop these directly into the oven right now, but let's assume you're in a rush, you want to eat relatively soon. So what you can do is just put this in a microwave-safe bowl, a little bit of oil. I always use olive oil. It's great for cooking, adds great flavor. A little bit of salt as always, just a touch, nothing crazy. It'll bring out a lot of flavor. And then what we're going to do is microwave this on high for 5 or 6 minutes, just until the potatoes start to get soft on the inside. Then we'll pop them in the oven to crisp everything up. So next up, what we can start thinking about now is all the other things that go with a delicious burger. So what I always like to use here is I've got these burger buns. I like to use brioche. If those are available, any burger bun will work perfectly well for this meal. So we'll just get those cut. So preparing when you're cooking is absolutely vital. It's important in all aspects of life, but it makes life easier. If you can get everything prepared in advance, it makes life easy. So we've got the buns ready to rock. Now we can start thinking about what's going to go on top of this burger. So I've done this recipe a couple times, and I know that there's a lot of deep, rich flavors in the burger patty itself. So when I start thinking about what goes on top of it, I want freshness. It's all about balancing flavor. That's the key part of cooking. So this morning I grabbed these cucumbers from my garden. They're really delicious, very fresh. They're perfectly in season. They're so good right now. Cut them nice and thin. And we'll get these all prepped up to make life easy for us. You probably want 2 or 3 slices per burger. So I think that's good there. We'll come back and use some of that later. These tomatoes are also from my garden. I got them this morning. Gardening is so fun. Food is amazing. I love food so much. It's incredible that a seed can grow dozens of tomatoes. I find that just so cool. Gardening is also amazing. I feel it's very important for people that are very into food to understand where it comes from. So if you can get to a farm, if you can grow your own vegetables on your deck or on your balcony, it just gives you a whole level of respect for food that I think is really important for all you budding chefs out there. So next up, we've got we've got some great veg, we've got the sweet potato fries coming, we got that black bean burger almost ready to rock. So now what we can do is make a little bit of a sauce that will go on the actual burger itself. So this is really easy to do. I've got Greek yogurt, standard yogurt, sour cream, all works amazingly well. We'll say like a half cup, depends on how many burgers you're making, into a small bowl of that Greek yogurt. So next up, we'll add in a pinch of salt, pinch or 2 of salt, and then I've got these fresh cilantro. Cilantro, some people love it, some people aren't big fans of it. I really like it because it just gives so much freshness. Fresh herbs are another key part to cooking delicious food. Just to reiterate, salt, very important in cooking something delicious. Citrus, very important to cooking something delicious. Fresh herbs are delicious. They're very easy to grow. You can grow them on your windowsill. Very easy to do, very inexpensive, and makes a big difference in when cooking something really, really delicious. You can transform a lot of really basic things with just using those concepts of salt, acid, freshness, and a little bit of fat. So the fat can come from olive oil, which is a very healthy fat, could come from avocados, could come from butter. Whatever you have really helps round out the flavor here. So we have those in there. We've got that lime that we had used a little bit earlier. So I'm just going to take a little slice of that lime and give that a squeeze directly in. This smells so incredibly fresh already. I'm going to give it a little bit more lime because I like things very citrusy. So that's going to come together. This whole meal you could make the day before very easily. Great thing to eat right after school. Will fuel you. And you can kind of see what we're working with there. Very fresh, super delicious, easy, ready to rock. And now what we can do is start shaping those burgers and get ready to cook those. So I'll show you what we do there. Very simple, very easy. So we're looking good here. All right, so I'm gonna grab the burger mixture out of the fridge. So it all still looks the same, it's just cooled down quite a bit. So what I use here are essentially cookie cutter molds. You don't need to do this. If you've got, again, a plastic cup at home, that's more than fine. You can just do it with your hands. I'll show you both. So I just have these simple circle molds. It just makes it a little bit more fancy, which I'm a sucker for. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is actually I'm going to do this directly on a little sheet like this. So what I'm going to do is take that mold, again, not necessarily, I'll do one with my hands as well, and I'm just going to take a big spoonful of that filling and just push it down with the back of the spoon You can make these as thick as you like. The good thing here is everything's all cooked, so you don't have to worry about a burger being raw on the inside, because everything's all cooked. Totally vegetarian here. Again, if you omit the egg, don't put in the egg, it's totally vegan as well. And the yogurt, actually. You have to keep both of those out of there. So that's what we're looking at there. Like, what a beautiful shape. Very filling, super delicious. I love these things. So I'm just going to bang out a couple of these. And then right now we could freeze these. After we get them all shaped, easy to freeze, and then we can cook, as we say in the cooking world, à la minute, whenever you need them. So those are looking great. Sweet potatoes are done in the microwave, so we'll get those set up in the oven here in a moment. We can even pan fry them. Maybe I'll pan fry them to make it a little bit quicker for us. That's the great thing. I love using just simple equipment. If you have access to a stovetop, even if it's a hot plate, you can make this work. Having fancy tools and equipment doesn't make food that much better. You can make it work. I think that's an important part of cooking in general, is just making it work. Whatever you have access to, you can make something delicious. You just gotta use some tricks and tips, but we will make it work here for sure. And you know what? I'm gonna make it easy for us and save us some time. I'm gonna cook these sweet potatoes directly in a frying pan as well, so that the whole meal, again, doesn't really take that long. You can cook in advance, which will make life a little bit easier, but sometimes you didn't plan ahead. You wanna eat this right now, that's all good. So we've got everything directly in front of us. We've got the patties ready to rock, sweet potatoes ready to rock. Let's get cooking. Okay, we're gonna wanna put the heat for the burgers probably on medium-high heat. And for the sweet potatoes, let's say the same sort of thing. We can play around with those temperatures as well. So we'll let those pans come up to heat. This is an absolutely crucial piece with cooking as well, is let your pans get up to temperature. Don't rush this process. You never want to put, I shouldn't say never, you very rarely want to put cold food into a cold pan. Let the pan come up to temp. This will allow us to get that beautiful caramelization that we're looking for, that crispiness. It's crucial. Don't rush this process. Okay, we're looking good. A crucial way to test to see if the pan is hot is we can lay the food down and listen for a sizzle. Cooking is so about using all your senses. I find that so much when I'm in the kitchen. I love it. It's about using your hands and feeling the food. It's about the smells that come from it. It's seeing how the food's reacting to heat, to different flavoring, the sounds. It's super important. This is what I love is I find it very similar in a lot of ways to playing sports. I played a lot of sports growing up, and that's what I really love about cooking is it's very active, it's very involved, and you have to use a lot of your senses, a lot of the body movements I find really, really interesting. I find there's direct parallels between sports and cooking. All right, you can hear that sizzling away. I love that sound. Add in one more, because why not? All right, those are sizzling away. Those are looking good. We're in a good place here. Okay, so this one is nice and hot. You can see that oil slowly starting to smoke. I'm gonna move that out of the way. And now what we're gonna do is add in these wonderful bean burgers. These are incredible. I'm so excited for you guys to try these. So I'm just gonna take this, lift it off the pan, and listen to that sizzle. That's what we want. I'm just going to lay that ever so gently. You can take the back of a spatula here, push it down slightly. Oh, the smell of that coming already is amazing. You can smell that garlic we put in. One of my favorite parts of cooking is the smell. All right, we'll start with two there. We don't want to overcrowd the pan. That's something that you never want to do. You don't want to overcrowd the pan because it'll actually drop the temperature of the pan. And we always want a hot pan. We already talked about that one. All right, that's looking good there. That's coming along. Let's check underneath these sweet potatoes. Oh yeah, see that? That's exactly what we're looking for. These are lovely, super easy to make. Take your time on these. The microwave saves us some time, but if you don't have it, we can just do it slowly in a pan, or we can do it in the oven as well. No issue at all. So we'll take our time there. We can add in a little bit more pepper. Season as you go. That's crucial as well, is never stop seasoning. Add in flavor as we're going. I'm going to check underneath the bottom of this burger. Oh yeah, it's got beautiful color. And again, these are fully cooked already, so we don't have to worry about cooking all the way through. Got some nice color on that on top. We'll let this one cook a little bit longer. And we can keep these pretty healthy. If you wanted to add in some butter into the pan, we can darken that, but we don't need to overcomplicate it here at all. It's gonna be good. We're looking good here. Gonna add, just while we've got a second or two, I'm just gonna cut a little bit more of this fresh green onion. Again, because we will always use fresh herbs when we cook if we can, if we have access to it. It just makes things that much more delicious. Great weeknight meal here for after school, for the whole family. Oh yeah. See, if I showed this to you, and you didn't know that this was black bean, when you look at that, that looks exactly like a hamburger. It is delicious, if not better than a hamburger itself. I think you're really gonna like these. Very delicious, super easy to make. So now we can kind of get things prepped up a little bit, get ready to plate up. So those are looking good. I'm gonna add on a little bit of cheese on top of this, because why not? And then what we can do is let that second side cook away, but we'll lock in that steam that's coming, and that's gonna actually melt the cheese. I'm gonna turn down the temp just slightly on that. So that's looking great. Those burgers are almost done. Let's check the sweet potatoes. They're still coming along nicely, adding some good color. Oh yeah, we're looking good here. So for dressing these burgers, we got all of that ready. I might even use some of that yogurt sauce as like a dip for the French fries, or these sweet potato fries. And those are looking quite good as well. All right, we're super close. We'll let that melt. So I'm gonna make a little bit of room for us with these sweet potatoes. And I'm going to grill the buns. Grill your buns. This makes a big difference. Add a little bit of olive oil, any oil that you have. You could butter these as well. It just makes the bread that much more delicious. So I'm just going to add those face down into the pan. Let that get a little color. I'm going to turn this off there. You can let those melt, I suppose, a little bit further. And we're very close. We are very close. Okay, I think we're good there. How we do it on the color of these? Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That one's good to go. That little color. Give this a little color, soak up some of that fat. I think we're good here to turn those off. Alright, we got some good color on that one as well. So now we can start building this up. See that cheese melting? Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Alright, first things first, we've got that yogurt that we're going to use. This is going to add some good moisture to the burger, some good zip. You could use mayo if you have that at home. Sour cream is delicious. Get creative with the flavoring there. And I'm going to layer on this burger here. This one looks amazing. Look at that. Look at that. Cheeseburger, just lovely. Onto that. So that's looking great. And now we can start building up the burger itself. Whatever vegetables that you like, that you have access to. If you've grown them yourself, bonus points. We'll add on a little touch of salt on top of that. Cucumber, a little crack of pepper. We'll add some of these on as well. Just for a little bit of color, a little bit of zip, a little bit of freshness. Add a little bit more of that yogurt on top. That is a burger and a half that we're building right now. Put this over here. Okay. So now we've got the burger ready to go. I'm going to grab some of the really nice charred sweet potatoes. You could make a lovely salad with this as well if you wanted to. Just place them down. Some really nice color on these. A little bit, just a pinch of seasoning on those sweet potatoes. And boom, I don't know about you, but that to me looks like a meal and a half. So we've got a black bean burger using any vegetable that you have in your fridge. We get some fresh vegetables, a really nice cooling yogurt sauce, some sweet potatoes. That is a meal that I would tuck into 100%. In fact, I think I might just do that. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. Get out there and cook. Use the lessons that you learned today and experiment in the kitchen. It is a lifelong passion, even if you make a mistake. There's no worries about it. You'll have an opportunity to cook again tomorrow. Thanks for following along. More recipes coming your way soon. Thank you.